Hello gamers, this is Sai and welcome back to Which Way Games. Now be careful of the dangers lurking in the shadows.
And with that being said, let's get on with the video.
When it comes to martial arts and the ancient secrets of the ninja, it seems that the world's been obsessed with these fascinating masters of the shadow. With the ability of not being seen but always watching, ninjas apparently are blessed with mystical powers, ranging from the ability of flight, control over the elements, as well as being able to travel through the very fabric of space and time.
Obviously these tales come from the realm of fantasy, or is there some truth to the power of the ninja? Either way, these deadly assassins have inspired the world of entertainment, especially when it comes to gaming.
Over the years, these masters of espionage have appeared in several games, such as Ninja Gaiden, Virtua Fighter, and the fantastic Strider. In fact, Sega's original mascot Alex Kidd got in the action with some ninja games of his own. But there is one gaming series that had small beginnings in the arcade before being catapulted to superstardom, thanks to some of the fantastic games released on home consoles. This would be the fantastic Shinobi series that most gamers remember with fondness, and so with that in mind, let's go back to where it all started. In the late 80s, Sega released Shinobi for the arcade that had gamers controlling Joe Musashi on his mission to stop the criminal organisation known as Zed. With 5 stages for gamers to traverse through and plenty of enemies to deal with, Shinobi became hugely popular with all arcade gamers. In fact, Shinobi was one of the first games I remember seeing at the arcade of my youth, where my friends and I would try to remake some of the mystical powers we saw on the screen. For example, still haven't quite got the hang of it, but it'll be many years before I had a chance to play this fantastic and difficult game. And with home ports from the arcade being popular at the time, eventually Shinobi found its way onto the Sega Master System. The gameplay had remained somewhat the same, with its combination of platforming and action, but the one-hit kills from the arcade had been replaced with a health bar, as well as the ability to upgrade Joe Musashi. This of course would become a staple of the series. With Shinobi being a fantastic game to play, it wouldn't be long before another game starring a ninja soon appeared in the arcades, and this was known as Shadow Dancer. Now if gamers thought the original Shinobi was difficult, then Shadow Dancer could easily have been the arcade's version of the Dark Souls series. Gameplay of the original had returned, but now gamers were in control of a nameless ninja, and there was also the addition of a canine companion known as Shadow. This beautiful but deadly wolf would help the nameless Shinobi on his missions. He'd also use a barrage of different weapons, as well as mystical ninja powers. And like the original Shinobi, Shadow Dancer also found itself leaving the arcade and entering the homes of gamers with releases on the Master System and the Mega Drive. However, the version on Sega's 16-bit console was a refined version of the arcade classic, with more responsive controls, better bosses, as well as being more challenging for hardcore gamers. Even now, Shadow Dancer is classed as a difficult game, and it fits somewhere within the Shinobi timeline. And of course at the time, other games starring ninjas were appearing on different consoles, but gamers were unaware that a true sequel to the original classic was on the way. In 1989, The Revenge of Shinobi graced the world of gaming, and a welcome return of gaming's favourite ninja, Joe Musashi. Taking place 3 years after the events of the original, the criminal organisation called Zed had returned, under the new name of neo-zeed, and they were looking for revenge against Joe Musashi as well as his ninja clan. The all too familiar action platforming had returned, with bigger levels, a more story-driven plot, and strange and bizarre enemies. In fact, Shinobi 2 was so popular at the time, they even appeared in Sonic the Comic, which I might make a video on in the future. With 8 stages to go through, gamers were blown away of how the Shinobi series had improved since the original. The gameplay was amazing as well as feeling slightly more difficult, and the music was regarded as some of the best at the time. But what was really good about the Revenge of Shinobi was the enemies that tiptoed that line of legality and the bizarre.
During the Revenge of Shinobi, Joe would come face to face with weird and bizarre enemies. For example, he came face to face with Batman, Spider-Man, the Terminator, Rambo, and even Godzilla. But luckily Sega avoided legal issues thanks to some redesigns, which makes the Revenge of Shinobi that much better. But when the third game in the series came out, this was when it was truly the golden age of gaming.
Shinobi 3 Return of the Ninja Master has neo-zeed returning to terrorise the world once more, under the guidance of the strange Shadow Master. And once again it's up to Joe Musashi to stop them. Although this time, neo-zeed are being assisted by supernatural forces not of this world. With all new moves such as wall jumping, somersaults and climbing across ceilings, gamers will control Joe Musashi through 7 stages with ease. Proving to be the ultimate challenge for gamers, especially the last stage, gamers would see the enemies changing from the typical low-level ninja, going all the way to strange demonic creatures of Japanese mythology.
Shinobi 3 is one of the best Shinobi games on the Mega Drive, with its fantastic gameplay and that amazing soundtrack.
Eventually, as the world of gaming evolved from 16-bit into a new generation, another Shinobi game would also appear on the Sega Saturn. This was known as Shinobi Legions, or Shinobi X here in the UK, and like some games at the time, this took advantage of the digitised sprite technique made famous by Mortal Kombat.
Another gaming series that had ninjas, although I have a question, who's better, Sub-Zero or Scorpion?
Shinobi X, although fun to play, wasn't as good as the original trilogy, especially the third installment. And from there, the Shinobi series went back into the shadows for a few years, but this did allow other games starring ninjas to appear.
In fact, when gaming was making that transition to 3D, there was a ninja game called Tenchu Stealth Assassins that forced gamers to use stealth over brawn. Definitely one I'll come back to in the future.
With the Shinobi series going on hiatus for a number of years, it wouldn't be until 2002 where a new Shinobi game appeared on the PlayStation 2. Gamers were no longer playing as the Ninja Master Joe Musashi, but instead were introduced to a new Shinobi called Hatsuma, and where a mysterious earthquake had caused all manner of hellspawn to invade Tokyo, Japan.
Unlike other ninja games at the time, Shinobi for the PlayStation 2 had returned to its arcade roots, and of course was originally supposed to be out on the Dreamcast.
Combat involved dealing with large groups of enemies, while gamers did their best to get through the difficult levels before dealing with a larger-than-life boss. And like the Revenge of Shinobi, a comic adaptation was released that followed its own story surrounding Hatsuma and the ninjas he meets.
Being a difficult but fun game to play on the PlayStation 2, Shinobi also had a treat for classic Shinobi fans, where they could unlock the skin of Joe Musashi.
Following on from the release of Shinobi on the PlayStation 2, there was a sequel called Nightshade, where gamers got to control a female ninja known as Habana. She was the counterpart to Hatsuma, and Nightshade played very similar to its predecessor.
Both of these games are fun to play, paying their respects to the classic Shinobi games, as well as pleasing fans of the series.
From that point, there wouldn't be any more Shinobi games made for gaming systems, but instead what gamers got were releases for handhelds such as the Nintendo DS, as well as several Sega Mega Drive compilations over the years.
But for gamers who want that experience of 16-bit gaming, then you can't beat playing on the original Mega Drive, although a close second is playing on the Mini Mega Drive, definitely worth the money.
Overall, the Shinobi games are difficult but fun to play, allowing gamers to live out that fantasy of being a ninja. With decent controls, fast-paced action, and some memorable enemies, gamers will love playing this awesome gaming series. Hopefully in time, the Shinobi series will make a return to the world of gaming. Perhaps Joe Musashi will team up with Rikimaru as they battle the forces of evil through the very fabric of time, and meeting up with other ninjas through history who can aid them in their quest for peace. Either way, whichever version gamers choose to play, they certainly won't be disappointed, and for the true sense of nostalgia, the original trilogy is the best.
Anyway, come back next time, where a mysterious LP has the power to summon a demon, but can the skating gang known as the GGs stop an evil corporation from obtaining it? Thank you so much for watching, and see you next game.
Bye.